On today's episode, we talk about the importance of having an AI champion to execute your plan and process. We talk about AI agents that work when you're sleeping. And we talk about focusing on solving problems instead of focusing on the tools. Stay tuned, everybody. And if these episodes are helpful, like and subscribe. Welcome to another episode of the AI Lab Unfiltered podcast. I am Drew Veach from BizStream, joined by Mr. Pete Terryn from NuWave.
Good morning.
Glad you could make it. Just wanted to throw out, if you're looking to build a podcast, we use Think Tank Thought Leadership. They handle everything from editing to recording to this beautiful studio downtown Grand Rapids in the Bamboo office. They handle everything for us. It's a turnkey solution. We just applied our vision and said, we want to build a podcast. We have zero idea how to do that. What do we do? And they literally took it from there and guided us right through everything.
Not only do we have no idea, we had no qualifications, no skills.
Well, we're still working on that, but but that's where we're at. So if you're going to build a podcast, as Pete would say, if you're going to have a podcast, how do you say?
Come on, dude.
You do it quick.
If you want to be cool, have a podcast. If you're going to do a podcast, do it with Think Tank Thought Leadership.
There you go.
Good
job.
You're on fire this morning.
I am. This room's really hot. So we're going to talk about helpful AI tips and what to do, what not to do in business, how to roll it out, how to use it. I'm paraphrasing what I wrote down because what I wrote down doesn't make any sense. But I do want to welcome our guest, Marcel, Meijer, and Stacy Paul from Array of Engineers. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And Marcel, you've been on before in our other studio when we were there. So glad to have you back. Stacy, excited to have you on as well. So tell us give us kind of the commercial of what Array of Engineers does, just so we can kind of set the foundation.
Stacy, I'll let you do this.
Okay. So Array of Engineers is, I would say we like to use creative, innovative technologies to help our customers. We work in the safety critical industries. So kind of like that deep tech.
Yeah.
The other passion that we have, other than like elevating our teammates, our community, and our customers, is the younger generation. So really exposing the younger generation to the engineering field, everywhere from K-12 up to college, so that they can see what it might mean to work in the safety critical industries in Grand Rapids.
Awesome.
Well put. All right. So you guys work with a lot of regulated industries and a lot of heavy do's and don'ts that are in there, that is literally mission critical with everything you guys engineer. So when it comes down to, hey, we're going to use an AI tool, or we're going to have an AI workflow or something, you guys have to really have that process mapped out and down to where how you're going to use it, what goes into that agent or what goes into that tool that you're using, right? Tell me a little bit more of how that process kind of works.
So, clear my throat. I'd say probably about 80% of our work right now is in this regulated environment. So within the Department of War, I guess we have to call it now. So we're kind of at their liberty of what tools they make available to us. You can't just fire up ChatGPT or Cursor or anything like that. You have to be using something within their regulated environment. So right now, like all of our teammates that work on those projects would have a laptop, and they're inside of their, you connect to their VPN to get in their network anytime you're going to do software development, or even our project managers who are interacting with data basically in their ecosystem. So you can't just use ChatGPT. You have to use something on their, I think it's Gen AI platform. Right now they only have Gemini available. It's like Gemini 2.5. So it's pretty good, but it's never at what the commercial areas are, or what the general consumer can use. So Even with their software development stuff, they have a platform called Ask Sage, which kind of, I think it's a commercial company, but they have a contract with the Army to provide them these models. Basically, you can get access to like Claude's models, like Sonnet. I guess I say Claude as there's all that stuff going on with Anthropic and the government, but long story short, you kind of are really restricted in terms of what you can use. There are tools available, and we're trying to educate our team on what is there. It basically looked like you have to log into their specific endpoint and use Gemini there with their specific tools. You can't really connect it into a lot of stuff.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, you guys are in such an industry where you're on their platforms and have to tap into what they're using, which is so different from, I mean, we build marketing websites. So we're building it all on our own, except for some financial companies. Now that I think of it, we actually have a laptop that might be for QA to go onto their system. But so you're restricted by what is allowed, what isn't in that environment.
Yep. Yeah, and even further, like, so kind of funny enough, when I recorded with you guys back in December, I think when I got back to our office, that was the day we enabled Gemini in our Google Workspace, which might not sound like a big thing, but I think it was a big entry point for a lot of people at our company to just get comfortable with AI and how that integrates with your Google Drive and your Gmail and stuff like that. And since then, we've had to separate our kind of normal workspace with our government workspace for CMMC purposes, right? So anyone who's working on those projects will have two emails basically in our company, and anything in that government workspace, we did not have Gemini enabled, so you're really kind of restricted there as well. But I think the past few days we've decided we've gone through like the proper procedures to make sure that's like okay, and now that's going to be enabled. So like those things that have maybe been available to a lot of people for a while now, we're kind of slowly making sure that we do our due diligence and make sure that everything needs to be. So it's a lot slower of a process, and you're kind of people might get frustrated of like, why can't I use this yet? And especially when you're trying to push out AI to the whole company and like, hey, you guys should be looking at this, when the majority of them kind of don't have those golden tools. They have like lesser tools. Definitely difficult. And
so you're almost you have to work with inside this box and then roll it out to your company going, okay, here's what we can use, and then getting a process wrapped around that.
And it kind of depends. I feel like we have three different areas. We have internal products that we work on, and that's where we play around with AI, and that's where Marcel leads that team, and we're really allowed to explore a lot of different options. Then we have our commercial platforms that are more like aerospace, so they're not quite as constraining. Some other commercial customers that aren't even aerospace, one-offs. And those are a little bit more free-flowing or whatever. There's some products that we own where you can do a lot more with. And then you have your highly regulated space, Department of War, Department of Energy. We kind of have three different areas. I like to think that it is really, we're lucky that we have those, because like Marcel can lead up this team, play around, figure out what actually could be beneficial for us. Then he works with our infrastructure lead, who's leading up like CMMC, our quality systems and stuff, and they can figure out, they can do the research to figure out like where can these applications be applied, depending on the type of customer that we're using. So there's like a lot of checks and balances that have to be in place, and then we can like show the team about it. So it's not as like, team might hear us talking about other things, and it can be a little frustrating because they're like, oh, why can't I use this?
All right.
But it also makes us be really thoughtful about when we're rolling something out to them. We've done a lot of research about it. So it's not like, hey, just go do and play around. Like it's a little bit more known for our teammates, I think.
And it has to be so siloed then, depending on what industry or what category you're working with and what client you're working with at that point.
Yeah, I would say that any like business owner or leader that listens to this has literally no excuse for not implementing AI in their organization when you're doing it in three separate areas all at the same time in a thoughtful
with potentially limited tool sets, depending on which one it is.
And we still talk to people who just they're still in the talking. Like, we know we need to do something with AI, but we're just not there yet. I had a conversation with someone just a couple weeks ago, and I was setting up a meeting with them to talk about AI. And I said, I can bring lunch into your office. And she's like, actually, could we meet for coffee outside of the office? I don't want anyone to hear me talking to you about AI. Yeah. So there's still places like that, and I think that's the majority, not the minority. I think you guys are definitely in the minority where you're taking a thoughtful approach. I don't think we have a technology issue. It's a leadership issue. And I think we talked about that a little bit when I met you at the Tech Council. So I'm just so impressed by what you guys are doing, and you're doing it at different levels, and knowing you have limitations here, and Marcel can just kind of go ham over in this area. It's just so cool how you guys are approaching it. It's very, very impressive.
Yeah, I think it was sometime last summer, I think, to emphasize this point of the importance of like your leadership being on board with this. I think Stacy has been probably the loudest person besides me at our company about, hey, we need to be doing something about this. I think we had a meeting maybe May of last year, and we're like, okay, this seems like something we should be looking into. I felt like we weren't really doing much. Like, I kind of was involved in, some software development stuff, but like no one was really talking about AI at all in terms of how we could use it at work. And Stacy had read some books, and, she keeps up with stuff like that. So we talked, and we're like, hey, we need to focus on this. So ever since, I think it's been a huge push from her, which, she's having her support is all you need, really. But I mean, to start. And then I feel like the rest of our leadership at our company has followed suit, and everyone sees the importance of it and how it can change our work for the better.
Did you get any resistance with the team at all?
Good question.
Like, because everybody's coming in at different levels at that point. Did you get any resistance from people going, I don't know, I'd rather do it the manual way? Or,
I mean, yeah, I was having a conversation yesterday about this. Like, we still have people, and I think that's okay to an extent. I think it depends on what the reason is. I think sometimes I just get frustrated. People won't give it a try. Like, at least try it. You hear stuff, and well, my friend did this or whatnot, and it's like, well, just give it a try. I think to an extent, like, people forget that like this is a business, and we have to, like we're here to serve our customers, and these tools help us serve our customers a lot better. That's kind of how I look at it. But
I would say, Marcel's credit though, like, we talked about it a lot, but like it also you have to have that like leadership acceptance of it, but you also have to have a teammate who is going to lead the charge. Like, Marcel has owned this and leads this. We created an AI group. He oversees that whole group, and
perfect. Yeah.
If it wasn't for Marcel doing that, we wouldn't have any of this that we have right now. And so you need to have somebody in your company who's actually going to lead it, who's not probably in, doing the CEO or COO stuff.
Yep.
You don't have time to do that. I mean, you have to give them the time and the creativity and the flexibility to be able to experiment, because it's changing daily. Like you talked about, someone says, oh, my friend did this. And it's like, yeah, maybe that was last week, but today it's going to be something different.
Yep.
And so it's you cannot live in the past right now. You've got to try new things all the time. And so if you don't have a dedicated team and a person overseeing that team who is, wanting to and try all these things like Marcel, because that's what it's about, right?
Yep.
You're not going to be able to stay in touch with in this technology world right now. So I think that's super important. The other thing we talk a lot about, you asked about pushback and stuff. We had a really big meeting at the start of the year, do our annual planning and everything. Marcel was a part of that when we were talking about AI, and we're like, how can we normalize it? We talked a lot about what can we do to normalize it? So it's yeah, there's some industries that it's a little bit harder to use it, but it doesn't mean we don't want people to be exposed to it, right? We want them to still know how to use these tools, because the ability to be able to just make apps at home or play around with it at home with whatever your projects are, that's unbelievable right now. And so Marcel has done a really good job of on, what was it, a couple Fridays ago, we have like health challenges, and he just like got a group of people together in a room, and they used AI to create a app that they're going to do for a health challenge. And so it's like a internal project we kind of just did for fun. It's such good team building. It's helping people in a low risk environment play around with it and see what the potential is. Maybe any of those like negative concepts that may have heard can go away. I think doing small projects like that are really important.
It is huge. You got this is turning into like a leadership masterclass.
Right.
You guys, I'm just so impressed by how you guys have approached this, and I think it's because we just talked to so many people that just are so far behind what you guys are doing. So with that in mind, I'd like to maybe just kind of go back. You said kind of last summer we started, talking about this and coming to Stacy. So, and then things have progressed. So you created a group that you're leading. So can we talk? I think and think about this as somebody might actually listen to this one day and hopefully learn something. But if you were to teach somebody else how to set up an internal AI group, like how would you do that?
I'd say first of all, you need somebody who's passionate about it. I mean, I'm very passionate about figuring this out for I mean, not only just for our company, but for me personally. Like, it's such a fun thing to do, first of all. But I think our team is really only 3 people. It's me and a couple other teammates. And they both have, in our case, they both have master's degrees in computer science with specializations in like machine learning and stuff. So they have a lot of technical knowledge in terms of like actually how AI works. I don't. I'm just a tool guy. I'm like, I have a computer engineering degree.
Just a tool guy who's leading an AI group in an aerospace company. Yeah, no big deal.
But, I mean, I'm saying that because it's nice to have that difference in opinion, right? Like, I really care about like, oh, what's the new cloud feature that came out yesterday? Because a new one comes out every day, and they're kind of worried about like, technical terms of like research papers and things like that. But I would say in terms of a group, yeah, that's the number one thing. You just have somebody who's passionate, because otherwise you're kind of just going to be having to lead that person around. You need somebody to take charge of it. But also, like Stacy said, give them time. The majority of my time now is spent on internal work, which is not, we're an engineering services company. We need to bill and make money, but I think these things kind of really provide for the rest of the team. I spend time on it so they don't have to, kind of thing. So, autonomy as well. Like, our company has kind of stricter IT stuff now because we have these regulated industries. So, you can't just install anything you want in your computer. So they've made exceptions for me. Like, I have a computer that's kind of sectioned off on our network where I can, install what I want, because that gets us further. I don't have to get every little piece of software approved. I can have Claude on my desktop and, try out the new Claude Cowork dispatch feature that came out, yesterday. And I can keep up with everything that's going on, so that when those things are available for, the masses or kind of these more regulated environments, I can educate people and actually know kind of what to do instead of being so far behind. So I'd say find someone who's passionate and give them the ability and time to do it.
You guys have like a regular meeting cadence? Do you have like a roadmap that you're working towards? Like, what does that look like?
It's pretty loose right now. I mean, we have a regular meeting cadence once a week. We had we follow EOS, so we had some rocks at the beginning of this quarter, and this quarter is ending, so we'll have some more rocks. That's kind of our boundaries right now. It's still really loose in terms of like, I just want the team to kind of keep up with news and make sure that we're following stuff, and how can we try things out here. Like, really, it's just been experimenting this quarter. Like, I'm trying to do some stuff with we have a Mac studio locally. We tried some local LLMs and stuff. I think I haven't gotten as far as I was hoping with that. I've kind of been distracted by everything else that's been happening. So, it's just kind of been experimenting right now. Like, how can you take this to your other teams? Because the people that work on our team also have other full-time projects. So it's kind of, how do you get the team up to speed, and then they can go out and spread it to the rest of the team. So.
And then we meet weekly.
Okay.
Like, what he's been doing and what they've been doing, and then you also meet with the infrastructure team. So he meets with people that lead up our MC to make sure that like these new tools or whatever that might be helpful. They have conversations, also weekly conversations. Staying on top of all of that is very important because stuff is moving so fast right now.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of what you guys are doing. It's communication. It still comes down to that, having an actual group led by a champion that here's what we can do, and having that, how are you using it? How is it working for you? How's it working for you? And kind of having that brain power come together just radically speeds up the process. I've noticed it with other companies that we've worked with. Same thing, doing lunch and learns or whatnot, and they're going, oh, I just don't know where to start. And it's like, just start, but have everybody in the same room talking about it, because everybody's using it in some fashion. And most people are using it even personally, I'm saying. So just start talking about that just to start the ball rolling.
Even we have monthly meetings with the full team on the last Monday of the month. We happen like, and Marcel he always presents. So we have like different people that present overviews, and he's one of the people since presenting. Just again, it's normalizing it, right? Like normalizing the use of AI, and hopefully then whatever people are thinking about, they can, it's not going to be scary for somebody to say a question to them and be like, if they did hear something that maybe was true a month ago, they don't feel like afraid to go and talk to Marcel and ask him like, okay, I heard this happen. Is this really true? Or, like that's what we just want to have happen.
Yeah.
So the lesson takeaway then is executive sponsorship and a champion. And if you have both of those things and you have a plan, then you can end up where you guys are at now, right?
And I think then like Marcel's really good about like experimenting with different things. Like we talked about, like communicating with Brian to figure out what tools could be available, but then also taking it to the next level of like talking with the PMs and the different project teams to see like what they could do to implement within their project, because you have to do that next step too, because again, you are a business, right? And see like what project or tools could be available for that project team so we can better serve our customer. And it might even be like we take it very, very seriously that like we want to like provide the best service we can to our customer. And so like even if our customer isn't, on the forefront of like knowing what's happening, like then it's our job to educate them and to try to show them what we could be doing. I mean, a perfect example is a local company that Marcel has worked with for many, many years. And he saw that like you don't really need me anymore. I can show you how to put this onto your system, and you can really be doing a lot of this work yourself. And so he went there and showed them how to do it. I mean, we feel
that's
like
awesome.
That's our job, but it's not to take advantage of any customers or anything.
Right.
And it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
That was an interesting case. I mean, we've done software development for them for 7 years now or something like that, and we're kind of in a maintenance mode now. But they've always had like, hey, can we get this feature in or this bug fixed? And everyone's always concerned about costs, right? And I'm busy, so I'm like, hey, why don't I show you this? And you guys always have so many ideas. You can definitely do some of this yourself now. Like I'm still here to help you, but so like I think some people would think, well, that's taking away business from yourself. But I think it's just a huge disservice to them to not, this is possible now.
I agree. I think that's what's evolving us with AI, and that's early on. It's still in some circumstances, a lot of people go, oh, this is going to replace my job. This is going to replace my job. I think that's now subsiding, that we're now using it and it's becoming more the norm. We're going, oh, I can actually enhance what I do, and just carrying that on even to the client too. It's here's how you can do it. Here, let me help implement this for you so you can take it from there. And they'll always come. I mean, obviously you get repeat work from them anyway, because they go, well, you helped us out the last time. Let's do the next one. Do you guys see a lot of people I talk to that are using AI, especially someone like you where you're using it in multiple fashion, like multiple areas? Do you see any kind of work creep where it's, now I can run this and I can have that, it's saving me time over here. Well, then I got this one run. Now I got this one run. Now you're kind of managing all these AI agents and all these tools that are running, and it just adds more to your plate, and your plate got bigger.
Yeah, I mean, my plate has gotten way bigger, and it was already big in a good way. But I've let it get bigger, I guess, because it's so fun. But so for context, I develop our internal web application, so we use it for project management. I talked about this last time, but so that's allowed me to just do basically all these experiments. So my normal day is I've got 3-4 agents working on features at the same time. Before I leave at night, I'm like, okay, have this working in the cloud. I've just tried to push kind of the boundaries of what is available right now so I can understand that. So I'm kind of, for better or for worse, like thinking about things like on the weekend, I have an idea. Let me open Cursor in the cloud and just kick an idea and I'll see it on Monday kind of thing. So I think my plate has gotten bigger, but that's what I wanted. So.
Well, and I think that's what the trade. That's what you and I are talking about, where it's like, I'm doing a lot more, but I like it. It's a lot more fun.
It's hard to turn it off.
Then it doesn't feel like work. It's a useful hobby, right? Like something that you enjoy doing that actually provides some value. And I think everybody at this table is probably finding themselves in the same situation. Like, man, this is just fun to use.
What else can I do? What else can I do?
Actually provide value. Like, it's not like having if I wanted to be a painter on the weekends, it's not providing work value, but this does, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I see it provide value every day with this app that we use. It's gotten a lot bigger. Like right now, I'm working on we use Monday.com to do our task management for basically all of our teams. So I'm working on I was like, why don't we try and actually Stacy pushed me to do this, but can we rebuild that ourselves? Because we always like to work a really specific way. So why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we'll continue to do things like that just because we can, and it makes us work better. So
I think that's where it's headed. You and I talked about this from day one. I think that's where it's actually headed is, I like how this app does X, Y, Z, but I only need X and Y out of it. I wonder if I could build that myself, and it's just getting way easier.
Yeah.
I know people building their own CRMs at this point going, I don't need all the bells and whistles, and I can build it myself.
Yeah, yesterday we were at the Atomic Objects Collider event, and someone told me about a new piece of software, and before I left in the parking lot, I'm like, send a Cursor, can I put this into my app? Like, just can I remake it? That's my mentality now. Of course, people would be like, well, then you have to support it and whatnot, but we'll just give it a try. So if it gets bad,
just develop an agent that supports it, right? Like you said something really cool earlier. I'm going to come back to because I don't think a lot of people understand. Like you said, before I leave for the day, I give my agent some tasks to do, and then when you show up the next morning, it comes back and say, "Hey, Marcel, look what I did last night while you were sleeping." So I don't. Do you have any like a cool story of doing that where you left at the end of the day and came back to like, holy crap, look what it just did overnight while I wasn't here?
I think with this Monday.com replacement, I remember I was letting my dog out in the backyard on a Saturday, and I'm like just thinking, and I just had it, give it probably a couple paragraph explanation, like clone Monday.com. I wanted these specific things, and it would build it into our app specifically. I came on Monday, and the UI looked terrible. I had to fix that, but it's a great starting point. It's like it works for hours. I don't have to wait for it, but I think that's kind of my mentality right now is how can I have an agent doing something at all times? Like, obviously that's not possible because I'm not going to do it at 2 a.m. But when I'm at my desk, I'm always making sure something is running. And maybe that's going to get exhausting over time, but right now it's really kind of pushed forward the amount of stuff that I'm doing or just researching or experimenting with. I think just that mindset of, what can it do right now, or what can I have it work on? Just low friction to try things out, like prototyping, even not prototyping. But I think I've always struggled with like imposter syndrome of like technical knowledge. I think I've spent a lot of time in my career.
You do?
Yeah. I'm giving
this side of the table.
Oh, you have no idea.
I think I'm saying that because I use this a lot now to kind of do research or inform me of things that I'm like, what's missing in this app? Like, how do I modernize my app that I've been building for years now? I just think it helps.
Like, I feel like it's allowed us, like you have these different, as a small business, you have way we like to work with different tools. It's like, we like this part of this tool. We like this part of this tool. We like this part of this tool or this system. Maybe it's Scrum or EOS or whatever it is. And so like now we can create something that has like what we like of all these different areas and put it into one thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is super powerful.
Yeah.
Like each company could build, every company is going to be different no matter what you do, who your customers are, what your products are, the people that are doing it, you know, what they think is important. So like you can seriously create a customizable tool now for your team and your customers, and so that you can be more successful. So I think that is like so powerful for it. Even talk about like how, I don't know, you have people using this and then they just put in Slack.
I was actually thinking this right as you were talking. So just another cool example of things that exist now. So we use Slack to communicate in our teams. And I have a Slack channel set up for bug reports and also just for new features. So if somebody finds a bug, usually they would just Slack me and then I'd have to like go through the process of figuring it out. But now once they Slack, it just kicks it to a cursor and it'll start a cloud agent and, you know, do the work, fix the bug, make a PR request. But it's not merging that code automatically. I still review it, but then I don't have to take the time to even figure it out, especially in bugs where usually they're probably small things. And people are using it like, you know, maybe one a day, and then the real bugs that are in our platform that either have existed for a while or new. But I think this concept of like self-healing software is something that's really interesting. Like I've set up Sentry on our web platform, which basically is an error monitoring system. So anytime there's a front end or back end error, it'll log that to this platform. And you know, you can set it up where anytime there's an issue, okay, kick it to cursor, you know, fix it immediately and make a pull request. So these systems of just automating grunt work that, you know, I don't want to do is just, I don't know, I get so excited about it. I feel like I'm on like a dopamine high, like 24/7 right now. It's like I deleted my Instagram so I could stop doing this, but now it's like coding is like that. You know, all these,
an addiction.
It is.
It is.
I think it was Peter Steinberger said that. He was like, it's basically like sitting at a slot machine. You're like, what is it going to do now? You know, all these things that we want to do, they're not perfect. You got to kind of tune it up a little bit, but it gets you so much farther.
You just traded one dopamine machine for another one. Really?
Yeah.
But like two things just to highlight with what, like, I feel like the ultimate goal, right, is to like, there's this like work-life balance, all this stuff. But like, to me, the ultimate goal is that the two are merged, right? And so like one doesn't stress you out more than the other one, and it's just who you are as a person, right? And like, that's what I think. And this seems to be what is helping people be able to just merge the two. You know what I mean? As long as you're still taking time to caring and everything for you. So I think that is a very, very special thing that you're seeing. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is like all the stuff that Marcel about, like we say it's our internal product, but the whole goal then is like if we can fine tune this and see it working really, really well, then we could bring other customers in and be like, hey, we've got this set up on our own internal tool and it works really well. Like we can apply this onto your software platform, but we've fine tuned it and we know that it's going to work. So we're not experimenting with our customer stuff, we're experimenting with our own stuff and then being able to apply that and push them a little bit more.
Okay, so I just had a weird thought pop into my head based off of what you guys are talking about. So do you, and some of this I think is like, it comes from you and how you're leading the company and what you described as, you know, I could have kept charging this client to, you know, fix their software, but I just taught them how to fish instead. So then going back to what you just said, is that going to be this new kind of sharing economy between businesses where you're going to say, you know, when we sit down at the next tech council meeting, is that, hey, you guys need to see what we just built because, and we're not a software company, so I'm not going to sell this to you. But if you could see what my team is doing and how much easier it made this, let's, and then you just like, you can just put it on GitHub and then you can have them go download it. And now they've got it too. I wasn't even thinking about that till now, but that could be a new way to network, you know, with different businesses and, oh, holy shit. Isn't it just seems so weird that we're having this conversation? Like, I feel like I was a sci-fi kid growing up in the comic books and the movies and everything, and robots that could talk, and you're like, oh man, I'll never see that in my lifetime, but wouldn't it be so cool? But we're living it today.
Yeah, because then, so another thing, like, so my daughter who goes to school, she's not in engineering, computer science or anything, biology, equestrian. She works at a horse farm. She was home from Florida, working in Florida, and she came by the office. She's like had all these ideas and stuff, and I've talked to her before. And then Marcel brought up that he taught his fiance, because she had a whole bunch of ideas, taught her how to create an app, set some stuff up on our computer. And so I'm like, hey, Marcel, when Emma's back in town, could she come to the office and sit with you, and like you can teach her how to do this, because she's got a lot of ideas on what's gonna like help her get her job to be easier, and the people she works with. And they did that. She was here yesterday.
This week.
Yeah, and like sat with Marcel. He showed her, got everything set up on her computer, showed her what to do. She knew what she wanted.
Yeah.
And so like what's going to ultimately help her in her job be like more successful, and she was able to do it like right there. Does not have experience in this stuff. I'm not saying that's everything, but I do think it's going to allow more people who have ideas, maybe don't have the means,
right,
to be able to create something and test it out, and ultimately help humanity for the better.
Right. I mean,
which is really cool.
We've always talked about you're only limited by your imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really where the ideas start, is what could I build? What could I do? Not well, what tool do I have to use? Don't even get into the technical. A lot of times when I talk about strategy with clients, it's like, let's not talk about the tools at all.
Yeah.
That's at the very end.
Yep.
Let's talk about the process. Let's talk about the idea. What are we trying to solve? What are you trying to do first? And that can be applied to literally anything at that point. But then we'll get into the tool and what accomplishes that, because the tool is just the answer or the solution. It's getting to the question and defining that out is always the hardest part. I mean, that defines small business too, is you got a ton of solutions out there. It's how do I define the problem? And I think that's a huge part of coming to the table with it, is I got all these ideas. That's awesome. Then sit with somebody that knows how to then execute it. Tell me your idea. Now here's how we solve that. And that can take off quick. I'm getting excited about this.
I just had a little personal victory, and I'm glad you guys were here to see this, because every time I've said that the only limit is our imagination, you have made fun of me, and now you're using it.
Because you sound like Reading Rainbow or something when you came out before.
But I do think it's beautiful what you were just describing.
Put that graphic. The more you know, that star that flies overhead.
Oh, that would be so cool. Can we put that on the TV back here? But imagine all of these great people with great ideas that didn't have the means, or they're not technical, or I mean, it really could be this explosion of all these ideas now finally be able to come to light. I feel like that personally. I've always had, I've come up with a new business idea every single day. But it's always like, well, then I got to go do all these things. I got to create a website, and I don't know how to do any of that crap. And I'm not going to pay somebody to build all that for me. Well, now I can just tell my agent before I go to bed at night, like, hey, have this website built when I wake up, and show me what it looks like. It's an incredible time to be alive when you start thinking about it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with my fiance, hi, Lauren, I thought I should say hi to you this time.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. I'll make her make a YouTube account. She's pretty tech forward. She says she's not, but she uses ChatGPT probably most days. And she had this idea for an app, and she's like, well, could you build it? Because she knows that's what I do for work. I'm like, well, actually, why don't you do it? It'd be way easier because you know all of the information. So for context, we used, I had her download the Codex app, which is from OpenAI, because she has a ChatGPT subscription already. That's what I did for Stacy's daughter as well. And like, the interface is just looks like ChatGPT. It's not, there's no code in there. There's no, you're not looking at code files. So with the way it works is like you just type in your idea and it'll walk you through it. It asks you clarifying questions. Like
nice.
I do this every day. So I'm like, this is actually a lot easier than you might think. She was a little hesitant at first. She's like, I don't want to code, but you're not coding. You're just building something. So, and it worked. Like she had an app in like 4 hours. It solved her in 4 hours just because it takes time for the code to write and stuff.
Sure.
We're going back and forth with it. But it's like, we talked during dinner, and by the time we went to bed, like, here's something that's working.
I like how you just apologized for it taking 4 hours to write an app. Like, I know it
feels slow sometimes.
I know it took 4 hours. Like that's in today's time though, that's like forever, right? Like
right.
it's so weird. Like if she had gone to a developer, it'd be 4 months before she got that app back. And you're like, well, I know it took 4 hours, but she did it herself.
Yeah, so I think Stacy kind of was energized by that idea about, maybe educating people that there's still that gap in terms of like, I don't know how to code, I can't make stuff, but if you can just show them kind of how easy it is, it's pretty crazy. So
okay, so to wrap it up on that, let me ask you this question then.
You mean to wrap it up? We just got
10 o'clock.
started.
That's why my alarm went off, because I got to set the parking meter again before my car gets towed. If you could give one piece of advice to another company about starting anything with AI, what would it be?
I would say enable your teammates to use it, and just openly speak about it. Because otherwise, if people are kind of feel like they have to use it in the shadows and it's not something they can really implement into their work, nobody's going to do that. I think before that, also just have your leadership team energized about it and actually bought into it. I couldn't imagine if I was yelling about it and Stacy was like, well, what's the point of this? Like,
yeah,
it would be dead in the water. There'd be nothing to do. So I think the autonomy that she has given me to run with this is amazing. So
I would say have your champions, right?
Yep.
And so like we have champions in leadership. We have champions leading the charge, Marcel, right? And like we have loose processes in place, right? Because I think you don't want it to be so wild west, right? You want to have some loose structure in place, like how, because ultimately everybody has a customer, no matter what you're doing, what your type of business is. And so you want to be aware of that. And so I think, I do think how we kind of have it set up out that way because of the type of work that we're doing and stuff, I think is a good structure, because you like have a person who's experimenting and like right on the cutting edge of every single thing that's happening, can play with it as much as he wants and figure something out. He's got a team working with him. Then he goes to the infrastructure group, to make sure they can then figure out what can be, applied to other people in our company, how they can use it depending on the type of work that they're doing. And so it's like, don't have it be so wild west, because that doesn't feel good to people. Unsure is, if you're not sure about this or what you can do, sometimes that doesn't feel good to somebody. But like if you have a loose process, right, and you have people championing it and actually digging in and giving people time, don't restrict them. You got to have somebody who can just go lead the team in the charge and be able to because what is going on today is going to be different than tomorrow.
Yeah. And allow me to ask one more question, sir, please.
Sure.
So, given everything that we just talked about and your experience so far, knowing that not every company has a Marcel or a champion in that space, maybe, especially in small and medium business, you weren't planning for it. So you just got lucky that you had a Marcel, right? If from a CEO perspective, if you were sitting across from another CEO and they said, is it worth going out and hiring a champion? What would you say to them?
I would say first, make sure you talk to your team. And, there could be people on your team who you don't know that they're doing this in their free time.
Yeah, good point.
And like playing around with it and experimenting with it. That's always my first, whenever you're looking for something, because, I would definitely make sure that and be like, hey, sometimes if people aren't asked about the opportunity, they're not going to come forth and be like, hey, I would like to spend my whole time because I don't know if I can do it. So that would be the first thing.
Yep.
I'd be like, make sure you really don't have anybody on your team. Ask everybody, right? Say, I'm going to give you the time. I'm going to give you the means, open check, make sure you do that first.
Yep.
And if then you don't have anybody, then I would say, yeah, you should hire somebody to do it, because if you don't have somebody leading the charge, you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
All I have.
Stacy and Marcel, thank you guys so much for being on here. Appreciate the advice. Appreciate everything you guys contribute to the space. So just really appreciate you being on here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. This was
Thank
fun.
you.
Where can our audience find you?
raveengineers.com, right? That's our URL. LinkedIn. I think Stacy's pretty active on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If you like today's episode, please like and subscribe.